Hey yo, what is going on guys? Cash and Clean here. I have made a similar video to this a while back, but I wanted to do an updated one. And I'm not going to cover like every single place, but I'll just kind of go over the main areas. So D14, I guess I can also go into D13. I don't want to go too much into D12 because you don't need light over there. That's just your actual damage stuff. But for Mega Dark, Deep Fallow, that's going to be light. Same with D15. I'm not going to get into D15 much because obviously you want to max out your light as much as possible. I'll kind of go over D13 and 14, and then I can also go over the main parts of delves, so 115 and higher, because you don't really need much else. Now, in order to test this isn't going to be like a proper test. I'm not going to go through every single character, but it's going to be pretty similar. Some characters might do less damage than others. I'm just going to stick to boomeranger. So everything you see in this video, just take it with a grain of salt. But at the moment, I have 12.4k light. I just didn't equip my rune. So with that much light, this is as much damage as you can see. So I do a ton of damage, and you guys might not be at that stage, but that's okay. This is gonna be like a little goal that you guys can try to reach until you can start soloing, just so you have an idea of like when you can start actually doing damage. So at the moment, I'm at 12.4k light. I'm just gonna remove some stuff that gives me light, and by some, I'm gonna get rid of like 4k light. So we'll just get rid of my cosmics over here, and that brings me to 7.8k light. So now I'll go to a different dungeon and test out the damage. All right, so with 7.8k light, just under 8k, this is as much damage as we can do. So as you can see, it's pretty slow. You do damage, but it's pretty slow. So that's kind of the idea of what you want to do. And that's just my basic attack. I'm not really doing much else. I can like throw in other stuff. Obviously hitting Q to activate my martial emblem will help out a ton. But I'm going to do that with actually using my abilities a little bit more, and we'll see the damage difference. I want to try to find like a boss though, because that's kind of the theme I've been going with here. Alright, so here we got a boss. I'm just going to throw my stuff. I didn't fully wait for my things to recover, but as you can see, with me using everything, it took me a bit of time, but it's doable. So it will take you a bit of time, but that's what D14 is like. And that's what 7.8k light, if we're to take off a bit more light. So I guess I'll just take off the hat. We're at all 6s here. We'll just go damage this guy down here. I'll do basic attacks, and then I'll start adding in some other things. But as you can see, you can solo it. It just takes a while. But that's just for the world boss, not really the actual dungeon guy. Took me a bit of time, we got there. Now let's go fight the actual boss in the dungeon. So this is going to be the basic attack. As you can see, I'm not doing a whole lot to the actual guy itself. And as you can see, I do no damage with 6k light. So that's a little something to consider. So you do want to get at least 7k. All right, so before I do a dungeon, I want to kind of experiment a little bit here. So I want to lose a bit more light. So we'll go somewhere around there. So 6.9k. So we'll see if I do damage with this much light. So for the curse skulls, is pretty bad. You do damage, but it's pretty bad. So no berserk battler, no nothing proccing, just some simple damage. You can solo it, but it'll take a bit more time. And I guess that's not really considering my coefficient. I have 20 mil coefficient, so if you guys don't have that much, then it'll be a little bit more of a struggle as well. But this is just like a little reference, just so you guys know how long it'll take. So I'm just gonna put on the banner. That's gonna put me at 7.8k light, and if we do some more damage there, as you can see, we actually solo it a little bit better. And when you do try to solo, it's a little bit easier to do the cursed skulls rather than the actual bosses. The bosses are a little bit more tankier. Cursed skulls, it's a lot easier, especially if it's the 30 wave one. Those ones are more fragile, so they'll die faster. All right, so for this test, I went as close as I could to 7k, so 7.1k. So we'll do the cursed skull, and then I'll do an actual boss, and we'll see the damage difference there. So here's the cursed skull, do a bit of damage. So it is pretty slow, but it is pretty doable still. So it just takes a bit of time. I believe in you guys if you ever get to this situation, but it'll take a bit of time, and it'll be different with certain characters as well. But that's just with me now throwing my other abilities here. And then if I press Q, we do a little bit more damage here. And that is that. It's soloable, 7k light. Now with the same 7k light, I'm going to test this out on the boss guy. So this big guy over here. So we'll try to do a bit of damage here, but it does not look like we're doing anything at all. So 7k light is not enough. You'll have to do cursed skulls if you end up doing that. I guess I'll throw on a ring, so 7.4k. Let's see if that's enough to do damage. So it looks like it is. It's very minimal though, but you can do damage, it looks like. And I just blasted it away with my ultimate. But so 7.4k, you can do damage. It just takes a bit of time though, it looks like. So I guess not really ideal, but from the looks of it, you do want to try to go for at least 8k light if you're farming in D14. And this is going to change if you're farming in Sundered Uplands. And that's also the other thing I wanted to get into. So if you're doing ships, for example, that's what you're most likely going to be doing in D13. So if you're doing ships, try to go for at least 7 to 8k light, because that'll take you to at least wave 71. That'll be perfect for trying to get to wave 71. As long as you're not doing the boss, you still can do it with the boss, but it's gonna take a bit of time. So in this area, if you have at least 8k light, you'll be doing pretty good. So we'll do a little test on a dungeon, and it'll be a little bit different when you're doing it on a ship, but 8k light would be plenty. I'm at 7.4k, and that's plenty. But I'm pretty sure even if you have 7k light, you should still be able to get to wave 71, that is. It's been a while since I've tested that, but you can just trust me on the knowledge there. 7.4k light, you'll be able to do it. And even if you have 6k light, you probably won't be able to solo all the way to 71. Maybe you can. I don't think you can with 6k. 6k, I'm not too sure about, but if you're at least 7k to 8k, you should be able to do fine on ships. And just know that depending on the character that you use, it might be a little bit different. But I know if you're using Shadowhunter, for example, as long as you're using the martial emblem, you'll be fine. And you guys probably already know this by now, but if you're using Shadowhunter, you can shoot enemies through walls. Little demonstration right there. And you can apply that same thing to ships if you're fighting a boss. And in ships, they actually have rejuvenation stations, so you can just kind of sit by that and then just go through your flasks to use your martial emblem. So hopefully that gives you like a little bit of a guideline of what you need to accomplish the 13 and 14. Obviously, getting the light isn't an easy task, but it is doable. And if you're very below 7k light or just can't farm crystal gem boxes or anything like that, what you can do is you can go to D14 for the air world. And I've mentioned this in previous videos, but if you find dungeons that are over a void, I'll just show you guys an example. I guess we could use this one as an example, but it takes way too long to bomb through walls now, so we're just not going to use that one as an example. This process is a little bit slower, but it does work. So if you don't know what to do on Trove, you can use this as an option. So here we go. We got a dungeon. We have 2 over the void. So what you want to do is take your bombs. It takes a bit of time to go through. And you just do that, and they fall through. That wasn't the boss, but you want to get the boss to fall through. And it does take a bit of time, but you'll get there. Just make sure they don't have like the anti-gravity stuff, because that'll be a little bit annoying. So I guess you could just stand somewhere and just chuck bombs. And you can break the chest. And the cool thing is that you get both boxes if you have the club fixture, which is this bottom left one, Effigy of Potent Opulence. So make sure you have a primary club that has that activated, and you can just go through dungeon to dungeon doing that same method, and you'll get both boxes. It's not a guaranteed to get the regular one, but you'll get the air one guaranteed, so that's pretty cool. And like I said, it does take a bit longer, but at least it's something you guys can do, just so you're not sitting around waiting for getting that perfect empower gem or that perfect cosmic gem, for example. Because then if you're just sitting there waiting around, you might not get the RNG that you want for 1 week, and then it might happen for 2 weeks, it might happen even for 3 weeks, so you're not getting that RNG. Whereas if you spent that 3 weeks actually farming, you guys could have probably gotten a complete set of gems for at least one of them, like maybe for blue, maybe for red, maybe for air, and you could have been working on those. And by getting them, you can get some extra coefficient, so better damage, and better damage means you can solo dungeons a little bit better. And this trick does not have to be in D14, you can do them in other ones as well. But as far as the void goes, this is in air world, so you'll have to be in air world. You will not be able to do that in topside for the cosmic gems, so a little something to note. All right, so I want to do a quick test with lower coefficient. So I have 7k light, because if you have below 7k, you just won't do the damage. So I have 7k. If I try to do some damage, I do nothing pretty much. So that's not what we're looking for. Also, I just completely fluffed that, so I will try to find a different guy. So I'm gonna put some gems on because I had 6.4 mil coefficient, which is extremely low. Okay, so I just added my ring. I'm at 7.4 mil light. Sorry, not mil. I'm at 7.4k light, and I do damage now. My coefficient's going up because of the my Q, but I'm at 18 mil coefficient, and this is around the amount you would need to be able to solo. It takes a very long time, but it is doable. And that's just me swinging. I'm not using my other abilities as much, but if I start using them, I just didn't want to use them because it creates holes and it's really annoying. But there you go. It's doable. It just takes a lot of time. So if you want to be more consistent, try to go for 8k lights. And with 8k, just know that like that's kind of the minimum. I mean, you can have a little bit less like I did here, but 8k is the minimum. The more light you get, the more damage you can do. So just use that as like a little guideline. So like, let's just say you went for 9k light. Obviously with 9k light, it's more than 8k, so you're going to do more damage. So it'll be a lot easier to solo. So every extra bit of light helps. Anyway, let's move on to the final thing, which is delves. I'm not going to get into D15 because just go for max light. If you have 11k light, you'll be fine. But if you are in D15, there's a 90% chance you're just going to be doing a 5 farm with other people or by yourself, but I'd recommend doing that with other people. There's people that host them. You can do /join 5 farm and see if there's anybody there that's doing them. You can host one yourself and you can get people to join. And if you're in clubs like Fulminaire, for example, you can go to their Discord server and see if anybody's hosting, which is pretty cool. I'm sure there's other clubs that do do it, but I just know Fulminator is one of them that does host them. And when you're farming them with a group, it'll be a lot easier rather than just doing it solo. But if you are farming in D15, you're mainly just going to be going for these boxes or any of the new mastery stuff. The dungeons there don't do anything helpful for you, so there's no point in doing that, which is why I didn't really want to include it in this video. But let's get on to delves. So I'm going to start us at 115, mainly because if you do anything else, 115 is just a good baseline, and I'll show you what you want to look for when you go in there. So let's just go inside of this delve, and it's really annoying because they changed the difficulty names instead of having Ubers, which is really dumb in my opinion, but this is the thing you want to look for. Uber Twilight. So this is the old U9, and that is not the one we want, but that is fine because we're trying to get to the vaults, because that's how you can get yourselves Crystal 4 gear, Crystal 5 gear even, and on the vault is where you find things like Ifera if you're doing an Ifera portal. But for now we're doing a damage test, so let me go over to boomeranger. So this is D12. The damage difference between D12 and D13 is going to be a little bit different, D13 being the old U10. So I don't really want to focus too much on this area, but I have 7.4k light and I pretty much one-shot with boomeranger. And if it went down all the way to 6.2k light, I still one-shot. Okay, I'm gonna remove even more things. So 3.8k light, I still one-shot. So even with like very low light, you can still solo this, it looks like. I can try it with different enemies as well. So these are these iguana things. So as you can see, 3.8k, still one-shot. But we don't really care about Uber Twilight. We need to get to the other one, so we need the 13. I'll meet you guys back when I get there. Okay, here we go. This is what we want to look for. Mega Dark Gloom. So once you defeat the boss, it'll let you know the thing. So Mega Dark is what we want to look for. And this is where the enemies begin to get a little bit tougher. So let's see. I have 3.8k light. We'll try to do some damage here. And as you can see, I do damage. Obviously, my coefficient is still pretty high. You guys don't need a ton of light to solo these yourselves. So you can do C4 farms. You can do pretty much every farm you need to, because with delves all you have to do is start at 115, and the reason why people start at 115 is because of this. You get this more often. Obviously the higher up you go, it's going to be guaranteed, although when people are farming these, they do 115 to 129, and the issue starts around 128. Sometimes it differs a little bit, but 128, I forgot the difficulty name, but it changes from gloom to something else, and that something else is where the enemies begin to get a little bit tougher. So obviously you'll need more lights. I have just under 4k light and I'm pretty much one-shotting. I'm going to take out some gems just so my coefficient goes down. So I'm at 10 mil coefficient now, and if I try to damage an enemy, I don't one-shot it, but I still do pretty good damage. So even you guys can do this in your runs, and obviously with using different characters it'll differ just a little bit, but it is doable. That is the main thing about all of this. And let's just say you didn't have 10 mil coefficients, I can just lower this a little bit more. So we're pretty much at 6 mil, just under 6 mil coefficient, and if I try to damage some enemies, I still do damage, so it is still doable. So you guys can do this as well. So I usually get this a lot. People say that they can't solo these types of delves. It's like too powerful for them. You guys can do it. I believe that you guys can get to 4k light. It is a bit of a journey, but even if I lowered my light just a little bit more, I'd still be able to solo it, just because there's a lot of ways to get light nowadays. And if you want to do delves more efficiently, just join the delve chat /join delve, and you can get other gamers from there into your delve runs. And I'm sure if you advertise Ifera runs, so if you have an Ifera portal, so something like this, you can advertise that you're doing a permatorch farm, a crystal 4/crystal 5 run, because you can get crystal 5s in these delves if you're farming pretty much where I'm at right now and higher. And on top of that, you're getting XP for doing these delves, so you can even advertise XP. So somebody may not want to farm crystal 4 or crystal 5s, but they may want to try to farm permatorches, for example. So when you're advertising things, just add in multiple things that people may want to join for. Because if I just wrote in chat that I need a carry for delve, 90% of the time no one's gonna help you unless they're hosting themselves and then they invite you, but it's not too often where that happens. That's why I say just host them yourselves, because you can get some people, maybe you can make some friends and you can farm together. I hope this video has helped at least one of you guys, just so you have an idea of like what to farm, how much of it to farm, and what it's like farming with a certain amount of lights. Now I could have done these tests a little bit better, maybe with like different classes, but it's just an approximation, so you can take what you learned, hopefully something from this video, and you can apply that to your own gameplay. Now I'm going to put everything back just so I don't forget and accidentally delete something, because that would be horrible. And I'll throw on N0 just so I'm ready for some depth stealth farming. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to go over for this video. There isn't a whole lot to it. Obviously you want to get more light. If you're struggling to get light, I have videos and guides for that specifically. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below, so if you want to refer to that and how to get more lights and how to get a little bit more stronger. But on that note, thank you all so much for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing, and I'll talk to you guys later.